Think back to when Tony Blair was insisting once again, second time since the Iraq War, yet another emergency. Iraq War emergency, COVID emergency. Tony Blair comes along and says, this is an emergency. We need national digital ID. By the time all of us realized that the vaccine passports that people wanted to implement for every venue, such as this venue, would not stop transmission nor infection of COVID, and yet the narrative was to continue implementing vaccine passports, the question is why? And the answer is because to maintain that control, central banking digital currencies need checkpoints so that you can verify your ID before you do absolutely anything. And that's how you maintain control and fend off the danger that decentralized Bitcoin and other such currencies present, which is why they kept on insisting on maintaining those vaccine passports. So now you've got this CBDC that requires ID. So what's the big problem, Magic? What's wrong with that? Think about it. Every single transaction in your life that you will ever do and ever have done will be logged and registered on an open ledger, because that's what the blockchain is. Now, Bitcoin avoids this because you don't need your name on your Bitcoin wallet. So it will be a number on the blockchain ledger. Yes, you can be traced by some clever detective work. That's fine. That's like cash. But what CBDCs are is your national identity tied to a digital currency that will log every single one of your transactions forever. Because once it's on the blockchain, you can't erase it. And that gives you absolutely no anonymity. And the second concern is control, because this currency can be programmed. And when it's programmed, it means that it can be set by government and it can determine what you purchase and what you sell and what you buy. And so if you go back to Canada and what happened with the truckers' protests, of course, there the problem is if you're a persona non grata, if you support a cause, if you support some form of magazine or platform that is thinking outside of the box, you're on a list, you can be penalized, and of course, it's an incredible problem. The head of the Bank for International Settlements is one Augustin Carstens. This is a direct quote from him about the difference between cash and central banking digital currencies. This is what he said. And this man is the head of the Bank for International Settlements. He said,
a key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that.
The central bank will have absolute control, surprise, surprise, absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability, and we will have the technology to enforce that. So they're looking for absolute control. I often say when people say something, believe them.